Hey Scott, it's time to do our top 10 missed tips for pros. Scott, what the what what are you doing, Scott? Okay. Let's just begin. Alright, so we all know that there's different spawn points in the game. When you first spawn in, there's a bag upgrade and usually some good beginning loot in a chest or a car nearby. However, did you know that you can break down these shelters to grab some great beginning loot? This includes leaves, branches, sticks, and the annoying and time-consuming lashings. This is the perfect way to get some early bag upgrades and lashings for your drying racks and bows, even within the first day or two. Our next tip is a simple yet effective one. Utilize movable objects to block the pathing of the infected. Remember, if you can't get through it without jumping, neither can they. You can also use static objects in the game along with movable objects to give you a better or larger area. In the video here, I've actually decided to leave the crates at the White House to create a killing circle, which allows me to go inside the White House when I'm done. This stands out from other infected farms that you see, as it allows you to actually sleep if and when needed, as well as being able to access all of your loot inside the house. Moving objects such as the drying rack, saw, workbench, water barrels, and a car if you have it, I'm able to create this in day 1 or day 2 at least. Another tip inside of this tip, build a stool to sit on in case you need to pass time. You can build a chair, bench, whatever. The stool is the cheaper and smaller option. Possibly one of the simplest tips I can give, don't revive if you die. This goes hand in hand with a beginner tip that I had in a recent video, save often. If you save often, then if you die, simply quit and reload your save. This of course depends on when the last time you saved was, but being the pro you are, you shouldn't die that often, right? Choosing to revive has a cost. A random 5 to 10 items from your backpack or tool belt are either removed or damaged, and you respawn at your house. Then you have the option to go back and get your items that have been scattered around where you die, assuming you can find all of them. And considering that you just died there, it's probably not the safest area to go back into, which is why I would recommend number 1, save often, and 2, don't revive. We've all met Tiny Timmy the Mist Survival Bear, right? Now, as a pro, you aren't scared of him, because you know that you can simply jump onto something high and kill him with range safely. I'm not going to count that as a tip because we're all pros here, and that was actually in my tips for beginners. Now, to the tip. Have you ever thought about or tried a bear box? A bear box or bear cage to go into safely to kill the bear. Once the bear is down, safely harvest from within your cage to avoid any infected during that mist that always seems to pop up at the worst times. You'll need to either defeat the bear inside of your bear box or right outside of it, while you are actually still inside. Chicken fence allows you to harvest through it without worrying about infected. However, with their reach, I'd always recommend killing the bear within your bear cage, which means building around something with height to stand on. Next up, we have System Refresh. Now, when I say System Refresh, I'm not talking about the software or hardware. I'm referring to the good old save, exit, and refresh trick. There are certain items in the game that you can interact with or break apart to receive items, such as cars, campers, and ore rocks, to be very specific. Using this trick, simply smash apart a car, save, exit, and reload back into the game. Now, a small disclaimer. Whether intentional or not, cars do not seem to always refresh every time when doing this. In the example, I was actually next to a car when I logged out. You do need to be away from the area in order for this to work with cars. Now, let's instead go find another group of cars and make our way to one of the mines in the game. With the mine, you can actually be right next to the rock and relog, and it'll still reappear. You could do this trick for an hour or so IRL to gain some massive amounts of ores, and no need to come back to the mine for quite some time. Doing this in the mine is a great way to grab a lot of iron and also the ores that are needed to craft bullets. The iron ore is needed at the beginning of the game for items such as the Sledgehammer. This is one of the first things that I prioritize, and getting the iron for this definitely takes a few reloads. If you didn't reload it, you can leave the area and go back into the mine to refresh as well. This is an option if your computer isn't the best about restarting the game, but for most computers, they should handle restarting the game in the mine. One known issue is when reloading the game, especially in the mines, sometimes the floor will not load in all the way. Or when the game actually loads, the floor loads a few seconds after your character. You fall into oblivion and it's just no fun. So you'll have to reload after that. This happened with one of my laptops that I had that is a little bit older. With my actual desktop computer, I've never had this issue. Now let's go back and check out the cars that we smashed earlier now that we've reloaded into the game. You'll notice that the two cars that were in the field still did not respawn. We were apparently a little too close. However, up the street, let's check on that first car that we first spawned in with. Now this car is still here, and we're able to re-smash it for more loot. Personally, I like to go on a car run, just starting at the White House, make my way down past the motel, down to the bar or mine area that we were just in. Reload, go back, grab a few more that spawn in until I get back to the White House. Do this a few times, and you'll be swimming in the resources. As a pro Myst survival player, you know that chicken fence is one of the most versatile things to craft. It's cheap, very effective, and it does actually look pretty good in my opinion. Now, I'm not going to tell you to make a cheap wall all the way around your base, because for a pro tip, that's just sad. However, what you might not know is that you can stack these. Now, one layer of wall around anything will keep out the bears and infected just fine. However, if you're that type of gamer that doesn't like cheesing the game or wants some realism, I've got you covered. Note, you do want to place all the blueprints before building. The game doesn't seem to like building these on top of an already built chicken fence. Now game, why not just put up a wall? It'll be cheaper and it looks okay. Well, you could. However, if you're wanting something that you can see through, let alone walk through with gates, I'd recommend attempting something like this. Personally, I think it looks better, and for those of you who read the future updates, the infected may gain the ability to climb walls. Well, I'm betting this might just trick up the infected, but I'll be sure to test that. Pro players know the sledge is everything. Once you have the sledgehammer, you're pretty much able to farm all the resources you need, aside from some mining. Rachel, however, does not seem hammerable, if you know what I mean. She doesn't seem to like it. Now, when I say use the sledgehammer, that's not necessarily the whole tip. You can sledge almost anything in the game. This includes curtains, crates, tables, picnic tables, and many more. Bring your sledgehammer with you and just hit everything. You may be surprised. Next up, we have the Green Mist. No, this isn't a Mist Survival spinoff, rather one of the consumables found in this game. It's the Green Cola, the Lemon Nectar, or let's just go with the Green Mist. It never degrades. In the gameplay here, I have MREs that have degraded while my Green Mist has still stayed 100%. This is something to note when stocking up, as once items degrade down to 0%, they will disappear. Don't leave that normal cola sitting around for too long, but you don't have to worry about the Green Mist. Alright, now let's sit back and pop some bottles. No, not you, T.I. Drake. Let's keep this to Mist Survival. Now, until recently, I had no idea you could even equip a bottle in your inventory. This was a complete mishap, which led me to adding this to the top 10. You can equip empty bottles onto your action bar, and not only that, but throw them to distract bandits. Now, I haven't tested if this works on infected or bears, but overall, honestly, I wouldn't recommend doing this for anyone. It does work to distract bandits, to maybe get a knife kill or move them around to sneak past them, but let's be honest, most of the time, we'll prefer the shotgun, gun blazing method. But give this a try in your own playthrough, see how it works for you. Last but certainly not least, loot respawn. Now, currently, Mist Survival does not have a loot respawn, so going back over locations after a few weeks in game isn't going to net you anything additional. However, gas does respawn every 30 days inside of the hood of cars. Now, I won't just leave you there. Bandits and infected do respawn. Use this knowledge to farm them for items that you may need. They may not be able to keep you sustained for food and water on day 500, but that's why there is game to hunt and water to purify. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this top 10 tips. Thank you for watching. Drop a like on the video, subscribe, and leave a comment if you want to see more. Peace.